Okay, so I thought, why don't we have a little thought experiment today? I've been thinking about, I've been trying to understand why the comic book industry doesn't want to sell comic books. So I've settled on that they're at least trying to play some fourth dimensional chess. And so I've been spending the last hour trying to think of ways that this would be a good idea. Hating your fans openly and and in fact pushing it on people, actively hiring terrible writers and running terrible comics that don't make it past issue 6 or 7 or 8. There must be some there has to be some reason for this, right? Either so at first I thought, well, Marvel needs some arm of their business to lose money as a tax benefit, and they chose comic books because the money comic books makes has to be far less than what they make with every regurgitated Avengers movie that comes out, or every summer blockbuster. I mean, they're making $1 billion a year on Marvel movies, which I largely like. Just saw Wonder Woman the other day. I thought it was above average, nothing special but good. They're hit or miss, just like most of their comics. So then I thought maybe that they hired some bad consultant that told them, look, guys, here's how we're going to get people talking about comic books again. We're going to hire a bunch of hack writers and social justice warriors who are woefully unqualified and uninterested in comics in any capacity other than pushing a social justice narrative. And then the entrenched fans will push back against us, and we will have our own little mini Gamergate. And now everyone will be talking about comic books, fourth dimensional chess, win. And I do subscribe personally to the no press is bad press for the most part. And hell, I wouldn't be making this video about comic books even as a casual. I'm a filthy casual in terms of comics. So I guess it works. But what I don't understand is, it's like, okay, if we want to talk shit about our fans to get them to take to the internet to complain about it, then, I mean, at what point does profit happen? It's like step 1, steal the underpants. Step 2, who knows? Step 3, profit. Like, what is step 2 in not giving the fans what they want? Like, I can't imagine a world where I have a product that I want to sell and I actively push people away. Now, I'm just kind of looking through a couple tweets from just today, and yesterday, some conversations happening. And these are comic people here. This is Tamra Bonvillian, or whatever the hell. She's a colorist on some comics and things like that. Here we have I think this is back from the horrible crime of misgendering someone. Hey, comics people, is it okay if you get a bad review from a trans person, to misgender them and make them the target of harassment? He said, you're a good man and entitled to your opinion. If you ever want to go into why we created the way we did in the 90s, let's chat. This is Heather Alexandria retweeting some social justice stink piece on original Earthworm Jim, which, I mean, if you need to dig all the way back to the 90s to find something to be outraged about, I mean, doesn't that kind of also prove your point? And this is the typical social justice degenerate in comic books that, act like they're entrenched and they've been a fan for their whole life, and then they go on to call everyone a Nazi. Here, my point is, I never did that, so I don't know why it has to do with this. Nazi gets thrown out irresponsibly. Oh, I'm sorry. This is someone accusing her of calling them a Nazi, but again, dogpiling. And then we have this person, Magdalene Visaggio, who is, of course, everybody, everyone knows that the winning an Eisner Award is totally prestigious. Going on about here we go. Verified, of course, as usual, with just 8,000 followers. So good thing to know. I know that it's you. Here, as if there's any doubt, the asshat who runs Diversity Comics, henceforth Chad, has come out against trans people, which in fact, of course, he did not. What he said was misgendering someone is at worst an annoyance. And I tend to agree with that. Offense is never given, it's only taken. And if you choose to make a mountain out of a molehill, I suppose that's on you. But it's certainly not a hate crime to misgender somebody. I stand strongly if it's somebody that, especially if it's unintentional. This appeared to be a little intentional, which is a little douchey, but it's certainly not anything more than like a social faux pas. Which is, it went from saying it's a faux pas to this person is transphobic, which, as we all know, social justice warriors always double down. Here is, of course, more good behavior from, here we go, J.P. Jordan, who's a writer and member of the Big Bang Crew and contributor to Hal Jordan's less successful brother. Another just comic book writer. Taking a moment to screen cap a comic book YouTuber, which, by the way, Diversity in Comics is a hilarious YouTube channel who gets more views on his videos roasting comics, for the most part, than most of these comics sell to actual customers. Because we know a lot of these terrible comics like Squirrel Girl, their sales numbers are inflated. They don't tell us how many of those went out in like loot crates and were given away as free copies. And they're already extraordinarily low. In fact, I tweeted today earlier that his channel is going to have more views than 80% of the titles that Marvel puts out this year. And a lot of people decided to screech at me for that, even though it was entirely true. Here we have, take a minute to report this guy for harassment of a creator. For throwing a little, just flicking a little salt by saying, thank God people like him have 4 kids, have 4 kids and hateful childless weirdos like you don't pass on your genes. Yes, I know it's a little salty. It's a little salty. But again, this is out of context. And now it's ironic, although it's very common. Like, we want to take a minute to report this person for harassment by starting a hateful or a targeted harassment campaign. You look at, here's Ron Mars today or yesterday, right? He's a writer, of course, comics. The last 2 hours of my life. Give me the comics I want, like I want them because I'm right and you owe me. So this is just another, peer into. This is like obviously poking fun at people who might be critiquing his work and saying like, hey, I don't like what you're doing lately. But this is like a coordinated attitude of people in the comic books industry. Here we have, of course, verified Magdalene again, of course, telling someone to shove a dick up your mouth, whatever that means. I don't know, but certainly I'm glad that Jack verified this person. Brendan Graham, another comic book writer, antagonizing fans by saying, I learned a cool trick to get people you don't want buying your books from buying your books. Like, in what universe does any business not want people to buy their product? Apparently, this is the 4th dimension of chess. This is what I'm talking about. I need all of you out there to help me understand. I mean, I like to consider myself at least above average in intelligence. And I also happen to do marketing for a living. So I would love to leverage this for my clients. Like, I really want to make a presentation to my clients that's like, hey, here's what you do. Talk shit about your fans, especially your long-term fans, as much as humanly possible, and you're going to make money. But I don't know how it's working. I mean, it appears that Marvel's sales and are in the tank. So when are the sales going to come? And we have Brandon here saying, I don't make comics for Marvel or you, responding to a fan, right? So, I mean, it goes on and on and on. ticks me off too that he took that name from a channel that might actually want to use it for good. Screeching about, again, diversity in comics. He's the center of a lot of heat right now because he's kind of building up a large fandom on YouTube along with guys like Captain Cummings, kind of exposing this social justice agenda in comics. Now, I would argue that, I mean, I agree in general that, like, hey, don't like it, don't buy it, right? Like, a company has every right to make bad products, and I think I would, that's where I would differ from a lot of people who like get really upset about every little stupid social justice comic that Marvel puts out. Where I have a problem with is when they, like, you know, turn Captain America into a Nazi, or they gender bend characters just for social justice reasons, or they race bend people just, you know, this kind of stuff I don't like because there's no real reason to do it other than pushing an ideology, right? I mean, there's no, people have been buying Thor. Thor is one of the most beloved Marvel characters of all time, and he's also one of the most popular movie franchises out there. And like, why make Thor a woman? I mean, what is the point of that? I mean, are you trying to tell me that there are thousands of people out there that would want to buy Thor comics, a number that is larger than the number of people you're pissing off by gender bending Thor, that would only just buy them if Thor was a female? Like, if that were true, why aren't sales up? I don't understand. And if they're playing fourth dimensional chess with marketing, then either I don't understand what the end game is, or they're just not doing it right. So I'm asking all of you for some help. I just don't understand how actively shitting on your fans is supposed to increase sales, and it's very, very hard for me to understand. So please send help.